Hello friends, welcome to another reel from Bharat Raghu on Subhash Chandra Bose. Today we would be looking at what would have actually happened had Subhash Chandra Bose been in India and or had returned to India after 1945 and had that either the plane crash had not happened, or if he had gone to Russia and then came back to India. So in either of the theories, so if he was in India during the independence period, or if he was in India between 1945 to 47, how would India have been? So we have been discussing on Subhash Chandra Bose's ideology. Let's just look at what would have happened. Possibility number one: Subhash Chandra Bose would have come back, and as his popularity was on sky high, it was sky high after the INA trials, and Subhash Chandra Bose was as popular as Gandhi or even more. So he would have come and then taken over the control of the Indian national movement. It could have been the Congress, not necessarily only the Congress, but also all the players. And he would have been not negotiating with the British, because he was on no negotiations with the British. And he was, of course, as per the British, he was even, working with the Axis powers. So he was basically a war criminal. So there was no way of negotiation. So the British would have left, and Subhash Chandra Bose would have assumed he would have been the first president or prime minister. What kind of cabinet he would have formed, what kind of a vision would he have had? So possibility number one, as I said, if Subhash Chandra Bose had become the premier, the president, whatever, so it would have been pretty much a country which was pretty much allied to Russia and China. Why do we say that? Because after the World War, the allied powers, Britain and America, were together. And the only country which could have challenged, or which would have challenged America, was Russia, Soviet Union, Stalin. So Bose, and we know that Bose did go to Russia, or he was going to Russia. So his plan was very clear. So it was going to be very much aligned to Russia. And in 1950, China becomes communist. So looking at this, India, Russia, China would have been very close in terms of foreign policy, number one. From a policy perspective, he was a self-declared socialist. He wanted to build a socialist state. So if he would have been the president, now he would have had probably a motley cabinet, similar to how Nehru and the Congress had. It was not just congressmen, but they brought in people from outside like Ambedkar and others, right? It would have been similar, but he would have his vision would have been to build a very, very staunch secular and a socialist country. Now, would the partition have happened? Most probably no, because if he was not in negotiation terms with the British, and British had left, right? So he was basically on his own along with the Indian players. Now, even Jinnah trusted Bose more than he trusted Nehru at all. So he would have been very much ready and probably part of the cabinet. Jinnah would have been part of the first Indian cabinet, the first Indian government headed by Subhash Chandra Bose. It would have had the Congress elements. Nehru most probably would have reconciled with Bose, because Nehru and Bose were ideologically very close. And the only Gandhi would have stayed out, of course, because Gandhi and Bose were on loggerheads. But Nehru was this neutral person who supported Bose ideologically, but he was in the Gandhi camp. So if Gandhi would have completely taken a back seat had Subhash Bose come back, Nehru would have probably joined Bose. And Nehru and as we discussed in the last reel, the Congress Socialist Party, the Communists, the CPI would have been very much part of the government. The CPI, the Congress Socialist Party, Jai Prakash Narayan. So it would have been a very, very left-wing nationalist government. The Forward Bloc, the Congress Socialist Party, the CPI, headed by... So Subhash Bose would have been the rallying point of the government, of the left in the government, and he would have been the premier, very much in line with the policies of Russia and China, 5-year plans. So similar to Nehru, they would have had a 5-year plan, but the difference between Nehru and Bose, as we've discussed, is the defense. He would have definitely gone to build a very strong Indian Army, Navy, Air Force. He would have strengthened that, and there would have probably been no skirmishes with China as well, because it would be very, very ideologically aligned. It would have not been a non-aligned country. I am very much sure that Subhash Bose would have made it, it would have been almost like an ally of the Soviet Union and China, because there was no way of having any terms with Subhash Bose as the premier to have any negotiations with the West, which is America, Britain. So it would have definitely can't be non-aligned. It would have been with the Soviet bloc. That's one very that's what I can see. So it would have been very much, and then so it would have gone with 5-year plans, the massive industrialization of Russia and China, similar to what Nehru tried, but it would have been probably with much more pace, much more forcefulness, and eventually it would have also opened up, like how China opened up the markets later. When the entire socialist 5-year plans worked for some time, helped build the country, helped build the verticals of the country, the commanding heights, but then innovation is what lacks, and then they would have had to open up the economy and things like that. So those things would have followed up, but these were the initial. That would have been a very big difference had he been the premier. Option 2, with which another thought, with which I'll close the reel, had he been back to India and had he been the opposition leader, had Congress formed the government and they had negotiated with the British, and the partition took place, and 1947 freedom, and then he came back, so then he would have been the rallying point of the entire opposition. He would have been the left. He would have been definitely the leader of either the Socialist Party, or he would have, as I said, he would have been the person who rallies the Socialist Party, Jayaprakash Narayan, Lohia, plus CPI, Communists, and any other left groups in Bengal, his own forward bloc, would have been, there would have been a left-wing opposition headed by Bose. So that would have been he would have been the opposition leader had he not been and they would have been very critical on Nehru's policies related to some of the foreign policy, some of the defense policy. He would have supported Nehru on the 5-year plans, the socialist policy, or they would have wanted more focus on education, more to build a socialist state, more focus, more orientation towards Russia and China. That's what I kind of can figure out with my limited understanding. Hope you like this reel of what would have happened had Subhash Bose been back after 1945. Thanks for watching. Bharat Raghu signing off.